I'm Shirley Williams with Fair Oaks Farm. This is my husband's family's original farm. They've been here since 1935, and we're raising registered seed stock Angus cattle. We have a real problem with coyotes here. Also with dogs that are dropped off. We're right at the edge of the city limits, so we get a lot of dog drop-offs. So they're pretty aggressive towards the cattle when they're calving and the young calves at times. So we needed to do something. I lost a couple of really valuable calves. So I read the study from Iowa University Extension Department, and they talked about guard llamas with sheep. And at the end of it, they talk about other possibilities to use them. And so I decided I was going to try it. It was real important that you look for the right type of llama, that it's a gilded male is the best, that's worked the best for us, and that they are used to people pretty much, so they're not spitting at you and they're kind of used to that whole thing, but they literally consider themselves one of the cow herd. If anything new comes into the pasture, I don't care if it's a person, any kind of other animal, they're immediately on point. I talk about. They will stand and just stare. They're very intimidating. They walk towards that animal. Canids have an instinctive fear of llamas, which are the camelid family, like camels. And camelids have an instinctive dislike for dogs. But if they feel like they're a threat to the herd, that's when they'll start going towards them and kind of after them. And I've literally, because I have them all in separate pens, I've watched one llama pick up a coyote from one pen, chase it, the coyote goes under the fence, the next llama picks it up and takes it to the next, and moves it on out of the area. So they have been wonderful. I have not had a calf loss in 10 years with the llamas from any kind of predator. I guess it was my first time to really see the danger that the llamas will put themselves in order to protect their herd. I'd gotten up really early, our home's over there with big windows, and I saw the cows following Crow up this fence line headed towards the barn. And I thought, that's kind of weird. And they were at a pretty good pace, but they were all in line behind him. Then I look out and I see a black and white dog, two of them, kind of running. And I told my husband, I said, we've got dogs after the cattle, come on. Anyway, so I said, I'm gonna let Crow lead the cattle into the barn for safety reasons. So he did, he led them straight in there. The cattle all followed perfectly. Then my farmhand called me and he said, have you seen Crow? And I said, yeah, he's in the barn with the cattle. He goes, no, you need to come see Crow. And I went down there and his whole back hide was completely gnawed out, bleeding profusely. And so I just panicked, took him immediately to the vet, who's a good friend of mine. I loaded him up, took him up there. It was so bad he couldn't even stitch it. So he had to, I literally walked him back and forth, kept him in the calving shed and cleaned and sprayed that silver healing stuff on the skin for 3 months before I could turn him back out. But the vet said it looked like he had tried to fend off the dogs, and the dogs literally grabbed him by the back end, and he, instead of stopping, he dragged that dog behind him. And that's what ripped out so much of the hide and muscle. Yeah, and I mean, they put themselves in harm's way to protect their herd. I really don't know another cattle rancher that has them for their cattle. They are so easy to care for. They eat exactly like cattle do. Everything, if the cattle are going up to feed, they'll come up. The cattle usually run them off from the feed, but they're very easy to care for. So I highly recommend them.